Hi everyone, my name is Meg from Brighton Students' Union. It is currently Mental Health Awareness Week, so I'm going to be speaking to the amazing Jack from the Wellbeing Society. Jack, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all good. Well, as good as you can be. I obviously been a bit of a boost to have things coming back to some normality.
Mm.
Being able to go to the pub covered in blankets is always a nice break from the norm. We went to Shush the other day, and there was even a toilet guy back in the toilets, and nature is healing.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah, it's so weird things opening up again. I still can't get my head around it. It's really weird. And it's good, nice it's sunny as well. So people can, it's nice to sit in pub gardens with it being sunny.
Yeah, or just still sit on the beach, to be perfectly honest.
Mm.
But like, yeah, because I mean, I quite historically hate people and crowds. Obviously, join Wellbeing Society. But like, you know, um, even I like on my walks back from work when I finish, like it's been completely dead. And it's actually been really nice the last couple of weeks to be walking home from work and actually see people
Mm.
um just out, to see people full stop. Like I never, you don't always realize quite how much you miss it um, until you have people.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I think just having things slowly coming back to normal has been nice. It's been a boost.
Mm.
And I think also I was able to get one of the vaccines. I've not had my second vaccination yet, but I was able to get my first vaccine, which has actually just given me a bit more of a lease on life. I feel a bit more comfortable sort of going out and doing things. Like I didn't realize quite how worried I was about getting the virus
Mhm.
until I had the vaccine and realized that like now I'm a bit more protected.
Mhm.
Um, but what about you? How are you, Meg?
How am I? Yeah, I'm doing well, and I'm glad you're able to do things again. It's nice being able to go for meals, sitting down in a restaurant, well, outside obviously, and ordering food. I That's my favorite part, to be honest, about it being open again. But yeah, I'm good. But
Food.
on to your society. So you're from the Wellbeing Society, you're president, which is an amazing society. And you were putting on some check-ins back in, I think it was January time. And they were really good. I went to
Yeah.
one of them, and it was so nice to just chat. We just had a nice chat. But in general, what does the Wellbeing Society do? Because a lot of people not might know, they might not know what it is, what it means.
Yeah, so the Wellbeing Society is basically just, rather than having a specific focus or shared interest
Mm.
like like other societies, like for instance, you're from the Musical Theatre Society originally, aren't you? And for someone like me might not fit in quite so well there because I'm not massive on musical theatre. So like, they're very sort of specific to their own interests. Whereas Wellbeing Society is just a manner of a society we can support one another. Which, not to, as far as I'm aware, there aren't many SUs that have similar societies to what we do. But I think the what it offers is invaluable, and in terms of just giving students a network, because I think it is tough being a student, and it takes an emotional toll, and sometimes you feel very isolated, and you do just need to have that conversation with somebody who just says, same, or
Yeah.
points out things you don't um points out things you don't necessarily notice, much the way that Meg just did for me before we started recording. And those I think Wellbeing Society, more than anything, it gives you the opportunity to have those conversations that like perhaps you might not ordinarily do.
Hmm. Yeah. It's amazing. Like you said, it's so chilled out, and it's just a place you can go and speak to people, and anyone can go, like whatever interest you've got. So I think it's incredible. And I look forward to
And I
seeing
think,
things. Oh, sorry, go on, Jack.
yeah, well, I did just want to say on the subject of Wellbeing Society, like
Mhm.
as it stands, there's been like nothing. There's been like no interest in a new committee coming in and taking it over. So like as it stands, it's not going to continue next year. So obviously, to anyone kind of like watching / listening to this, like if you're interested, like please do contact me or contact the society page, which is also technically contacting me, to uh, not even to necessarily say that you're interested in taking it over, but if you've just got any questions, to express an interest, then that would be great, because I think it's, I don't like, I'll put my hands up and say I don't think I've had a chance to really like get my vision across over this year, and perhaps grow the society in the way that I'd intended to. But I really don't want to be the last president of Wellbeing Soc, because I think there's just so much more that this society can continue to do for students. And I'm genuinely just pleading for like 3 students somewhere in the uni to come in and take it over. And I'll offer you any support I can along the way, to sort of help you into that.
Yeah, definitely. And it has been so, so difficult for societies this year. I was a president when I was at uni, and I can't imagine how hard it would be for me putting on society events, and thinking of creative ideas over Zoom. So I honestly tip my hat to anyone who who's been in a committee. But like you said, Jack, it would be so great if the Wellbeing Society carried on, because there are so many great opportunities when you're part of a committee, especially when you go back in person. It's going to be so exciting. So many things you could do. Like, we've forgotten about all the things that have now opened up again. And I just would really encourage anyone to stand, because it's not as difficult as a lot of people think. I'm sure Jack can agree with that. It's what you make it. You can do anything you want. You can meet up once a month, you can meet up once a week. And like Jack said, it's very chill, the Wellbeing Society. It's just having a chat and maybe having a coffee, that kind of thing. I'm going on a tangent now, but I would definitely encourage
No,
anyone
no,
to
you're
that.
absolutely right. I think as a society president, you put in as little or as much as you want. And I think particularly when it's a well-being society, particularly like if you're ever at a point where you have to take a step back for your own well-being, I think if there's ever a society that's going to completely understand that, it's this. So yeah, it's just like it's just a safe space. It's just something, it needs to hopefully one way or another continue, whether it's as a society or something that the university can run,
Yeah,
in the future. But you know it's something that would be a real shame to let it sort of go.
yeah, definitely, definitely. So moving on then to Mental Health Awareness Week, which is what we're in right now. So Mental Health Awareness Week, Jack, had you heard of
Yes.
this week before? Does it mean anything to you?
um so I mean, obviously I knew of Mental Health Awareness Week, um but I truthfully I didn't even know when it was. I thought it was in October.
Mm,
But when obviously I did a bit of looking into it prior to this, and it turns out the American one is in October,
mhm.
and that's where I went wrong. But yeah, so I think like obviously I didn't know too much about it, other than obviously the general basis of awareness weeks, which is to promote awareness and therefore understanding and therefore acceptance.
Mhm. Yeah. And as well, we've both done our research as well. This year's theme is nature, which I think is really appropriate, because we've been in a pandemic for over a year now. For a lot of people, nature has been our safe space and what we can do with the restrictions. We've only been able to go on walks. So a lot of people who might not have been interested in nature before are now interested in it. They've done walks were the only thing we could do for so long. So it has been a safe space for a lot of us. So I understand why they've dedicated this year's Mental Health Awareness Week to nature. So, in the theme of nature, then, Jack, is nature something that you think is associated with mental health? That's something that has helped you in the past with mental health?
Yeah, without a doubt. Back in kind of 2019 time, like I was really sort of struggling, and it was actually kind of at the turn of the new year, or at least for Christmas in 2019, I got myself as a Christmas present a pair of hiking boots, and I just
Mm.
literally started going out every week on a hike. Even if it's just for an hour. And I can tell you, like I always say to people, like it makes like a dramatic difference just being outside,
Mm.
like in forest or something with your music or whatever. To my mental health, it makes like a stupendous difference. And so I always say to people, like, it's for me, it's really important, and like I will shout about it. I'm not going to physically shout here, obviously it wouldn't make for a very pleasant podcast.
It probably is.
Yeah. But it's something that I will sort of, rave about until I can't talk any longer. That, like, yeah, there's just so much importance on being outdoors and just feeling good. I used to, this was like eons ago now. I used to work as a gardener, and yeah, I just didn't have a bad day at work. You'd just be out in a garden, like, and then it was quite often just monotonous, repetitive tasks, listening to music, and it was brilliant. You just don't feel unhappy. And I did it again. My dad lives in the middle of nowhere, and so he rents a house off the National Trust. So he's got this big old National Trust park,
Mm.
and there's so much for me to hike around there. But like not so long ago, like I just went back to stay for like a week or so, and I just my brother and I moved 2 tons of gravel, and then I just moved about a ton of soil on my own with like a
Mhm.
spade and a wheelbarrow. And genuinely, I think that's the happiest I've been in 2021. There just nothing
Yeah.
phased me at all. I was listening to Anderson Paak and
Mhm.
shoveling dirt, and I don't know
Yeah.
if life peaked.
Yeah. Definitely. I remember when it snowed at the beginning of the year 2021, and I just never felt happiness like it. It's just so exciting. You feel like a kid running out in the snow. It just makes your week. Anything like that, like whether it's snow, whether it's just spending a day outside, it really, really can affect your mood. But is nature something you've felt more connected to since the pandemic? Because firstly, I was going to ask you, was it something that you were connected to before? But clearly it was. You saying how you went on your hikes, but is it something you've connected more to, even more so since the pandemic started?
Yeah, absolutely. I spent the first lockdown staying with my dad because we were a bit like, oh, you might as well just come back to Norfolk, Jack. It'll only be for 2 weeks and spend the next 6 months there. But
Um,
because, like you look out of his window, I should have prepared some visual presentation for this. But like you look out of his window and you've literally just got like his garden with like a tree, and there's like a woodpecker that go to the tree, and like birds would feed there. And then you could just go out. Like I literally went out on either biking or hiking, every single day for like 6 months. And like, I personally didn't want that lockdown to end. I didn't want to come back to Brighton. For me, like, I just spent every day outside and outdoors in nature, and I just connected to it in such a way that, like, I even wanted to move back to Norfolk, which I never thought I'd ever say in my entire life, because actually being so close to the countryside was just, it turned out, was just invaluable to me. And um, I spent the second and third lockdown here in Brighton, and it just, being in a house in a city, like, it's just not the same.
Mhm.
Like, these lockdowns have been dreadful.
They really have. The third one was the worst, in my opinion.
Hmm,
January and February were some
completely
difficult
agree.
months. They really were. But in terms
Yeah.
of things you do outside then, because loads of people do different things. They go cycling, they just go for standard walks, maybe bird watching, maybe just having a coffee, sat on a bench with their friend and breathing in the fresh air. What's your favourite thing to do? I know you mentioned a couple of things you've got gardening and hiking, but is there anything else that you would maybe recommend to the people listening?
Yeah, I just say, like, do anything that makes you happy. So, like, I mean, at this point in time, like, when I go out into nature, it's to run or to hike, or like, a friend of mine, like, me and her just sort of sit on the beach for hours and hours on end. But it's really therapeutic. um so I think, like, you're right, it's not about saying, like, I have to hike, or I have to run, or I
Mm.
have to, you know do my Pilates among the birds and the bees. Is that even how you pronounce it? Pilates. You can tell
Pilates?
how little I've done it.
I don't know. I haven't done that for years, so I don't remember how it's pronounced.
But, like, um it doesn't matter what you do so much as just get yourself outside.
Mm.
Take a coffee and sit and drink it somewhere really scenic, as long as you take your rubbish back with you.
Yeah.
And or, like, that was really threatening there, wasn't
It's true.
it?
It
um
grinds my
but
gears.
like but like yeah, or read a book,
Mm,
go with a friend, um you know uh, take a date. you know
mhm,
um there's something about just sort of being out in
mm.
the I find, anyway, there's something about being out in nature that just makes people a lot more open, and
Yeah.
willing to talk, and sort of willing to receive information.
Mm,
um and I think, obviously, you can even look into forest schooling, like, research, to sort of get an idea of how good it is for that aspect.
yeah.
um but yeah, so I don't think it matters necessarily. It's
Mm,
about finding what's right for you.
yeah. Are there any spaces near you at the moment? Did you say you were in Brighton near the beach? Is that where you
Um,
like to go at the moment?
I just like to spice it up, Meg.
Yeah.
At this point, there barely a park in Brighton I've not been to. But so I quite like Wild Park is like the closest to me.
Mm,
Like, it takes, like, probably about 10 minutes for me to get to Wild Park. Um, but sometimes I'll go to Stanmer Park, and sort of, there's loads to hike around Stanmer Park. It's incredible. But yeah, I'll also go to the beach. Like, the beach tends to be where I go if I go with a friend, basically. Um, but no, I even went and chilled at the Level yesterday,
mm,
in the sun, whilst I was having a phone call, and that was really nice. And
yeah.
it was interesting to see, like, the people at the Level, like, because I quite like people watching.
Yeah.
um there was, like, somebody doing yoga. Some people were, like, having their lunch break. People were playing bowls, which I got really jealous about. I was like, in my mind, I was like, should I go and ask if I can join in? And I was like, not socially acceptable.
I bet they would let you join
But
in.
like, yeah, well, you just know it's like 9 times out of 10, people will probably be like, yeah. But you just know that one time you pluck up the courage is the time that they're going to be like, go away. But like, yeah, so there were people, there's obviously parents taking their kids. Some guy had like, I don't know if he was trying to water plants, whether he was just trying to sort of get through the summer vibe, but there was like or maybe it was an accident, but there was this hose just spraying water everywhere. That was actually kind of cool.
Ooh,
Everyone was just doing different things. Oh, and you've
yeah.
got the skate park there, so there's loads of
Sure.
people doing skate parky things.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so like it was interesting, even just going down to the level, you can see like different people just do so many different things
Yeah.
sort of out in nature. And if you like dogs as well, if you go hiking, there's usually dogs around, which is pretty nice.
Oh, yeah. Gotta love dogs. I'm so jealous of people who've had a dog in the lockdown because they're just a source of happiness.
We had a dog stay with us, my housemate's dog, during like the first part of the third lockdown.
Mhm.
And honestly, it was just amazing. Like the being able to sort of go out. Like I took the dog out walking most days,
Mm.
and sort of spent a lot of time looking after the dog. And yeah, I spent Valentine's Day with the dog, which was lovely. And well, I mean, it was lovely until there was this bone that I gave the dog, and like the dog was like really, really grateful. She was like really like looking lovingly, and I was like, "This is the loveliest thing I've ever done." And then she started eating the bone, and it stank. And all of a sudden, it was just like the worst experience, and it stopped being cute.
God.
But no, um, yeah, like when the dog like went, and it was genuinely just like a really like sad day for me, because it did make a
Mhm.
dramatic difference.
Mm. Oh, dogs are amazing. And as well, what you were saying about so many people doing different things in Brighton, that sounds great. I haven't been to Brighton since October, so I'd love to know what it's like. I've heard the beaches are quite packed at the moment, and I remember I used to go to the Level a lot in my first year because I lived right next to it. And it was always so busy. But is it been like really busy? Because I know a lot of people might not enjoy the crowds. Are there spaces to go that are a bit quieter?
Yeah, well, I'd say to anyone that wants to get to a slightly quieter part of the beach, like if you go to the pier and then you go and you're facing the pier and you go left of the pier,
Mm,
that's obviously if you go too far you'll end up at the nudist beach. So if you aren't expecting that, it's going to be a bit of a culture shock. And do you know what, I don't actually know where the nudist beach is, and I just know that one of these days that I'm gonna like, because I'm incredibly British, so if I see nudity and I'm not expecting it, I'm a bit like, oh good heavens. So like I just know that one day I'm going to get the shock of my life going to the beach.
I don't know where that is. I haven't heard of that in
Well,
Brighton.
it's somewhere along, like if you head towards like Whitehawk, the marina, but I don't know
Mm,
exactly where it is. But I assume if you're at a point in the beach where they're naked, you've probably hit the right
yeah,
area. But yes, but if you go along that area, but not too far that they're naked, that's often a bit quieter.
yeah.
Or if you get to like from the I360 towards Hove,
Mm,
is like you generally get a much quieter beach there as well.
yeah.
It's more that stage between like the right of the pier if you're facing it, and the I360 is the spot where like the most people are congregated.
Mm,
And But no, do you know what? Because like you obviously don't want so much of a crowded beach, but actually there's an element of at the moment that being around other people has actually been quite nice. Like I spent Good Friday just on the beach with a few friends, day drinking, and it was just a really nice experience, and it was nice to be around other people doing the same things.
yeah,
There was just a sort of general vibe of people being quite happy and quite chilled.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
But no, with the level, kind of depends. If the weather's really, really nice, that whole green bit is pretty full of
Mm,
people.
yeah,
So yeah, like I suppose it's just a matter of like see what it's looking like kind
yeah.
of thing.
I love the idea of being around people and after so long of not being around people. Like I remember, I talk about snow again, I do love snow. The day it snowed, I remember walking to the main park, and normally that park is dead. This was around January time. It's normally really quiet. I would walk there every weekend. And I went on that snow day and it was just packed with people. There was obviously socially distanced, of course, but there was loads of kids like throwing snowballs, making snowmen with their family, and it was so wholesome, and it made me so
Yeah,
happy seeing all these people so happy, because a lot of them were probably in the houses isolated, feeling a bit rubbish, but seeing them all just enjoying the snow for a day was just the nicest thing. My highlight of 2021 so far. um just the pandemic, really, 2020 as well. It was just amazing. So what you were saying about being around people and actually seeing people laughing and being with their friends is just, oh, it's amazing.
no, it is, and it's like I think seeing other people happy does make you happy because there's been so much of seeing other people miserable
Mhm.
that, or just not seeing people,
Yeah.
that does make a huge difference. And I think it's reaching a point now where it's like, you know, I'm not exactly Jack Mortimer, voice of the introverts, but like, you know, I think it's getting to a point where like even the more introverted of people are now actually just grateful to see other people,
Mhm.
you know. um
Yeah.
and yeah, you're right, because I mean we didn't really get much snow down in Brighton, like,
Yeah.
at all. Although, do you know what, we were sat on the beach, my friend and I, and this was a couple of weeks ago, and it started like snowing on the beach, and it was like
Mm.
one of the maddest things that I've ever witnessed. But I was like so grateful I was there to witness it. Like I was really
Yeah.
cold, but I was also really grateful.
That's nature for you. It's what we've just been
Yeah,
talking about. It does, it can change your mood and can help your mental health. So we need to finish up in a second. We could talk for hours, Jack.
I know.
Um, but with the Wellbeing Society going forward, maybe it's something Wellbeing Society can do, going on walks and doing more things outside, because we all know how much it can change our mood and can affect us positively. So maybe that's something you can encourage the new committee, hoping we do get a new committee um, going forward. But thank you so much to everyone for listening. This has been amazing. I always love chatting with you, Jack. We always get to the most interesting of topics. But
We
yeah,
do.
thank you, everyone. And also, if you are feeling low in this time, we'll leave some links below of services you can contact, whether it's SU services, university services, or even external ones that you can contact, because we know it has been a really hard time for everyone. But yeah, thank you so much, Jack, and I'll see everybody soon. Thank you.
Thanks.